Hi and welcome back to 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗀𝗀. Today we're going to be taking a look at 3 altcoins that could be ready for a big pump to the upside. Guys, as we get into this video, if you do find it useful and informative, hit that like button. Really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, why not go ahead and subscribe, tap that bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗀𝗀. Right, with all that said, done, and out of the way, let's dive down into the charts and actually take a look at these 3 altcoins that are primed and ready to go. Okay guys, the first one is Cardano. So obviously this had a good run yesterday, and I really want to kind of just talk about what's going on here from a technical point of view on the charts. Obviously we are still waiting for the 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗧𝗧 application backend, which again, you know, we are expecting it to happen in this month, but there's no actual hard firm date on this yet, at least not that I'm aware of. But obviously once we have that, that's going to basically allow all these smart contracts that are being written to actually integrate together and actually function properly. So rather than having to write a lot of code independently for each and every smart contract, the 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗧𝗧 backend basically brings it all together in a streamlined and framework manner, standardizing everything. So it's very much needed to obviously make sure that everything kind of launches and sticks to standard. So it's going to be interesting to see what actually happens once that 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗧𝗧 application backend PAB actually does get launched onto the mainnet. With that being said, people obviously have been piling back into Cardano recently. We've had the pullback, which again is in line with our expectations. So again, you'd have your ABC here, and we are looking to push up. And again, this actually puts us right back down into this oversold area on our stochastic RSI. So on our hourly, we're already primed, ready to go back to the upside. When we take a look at it from a daily point of view, we're just up here in the overbought area again. As we have talked about previously, you can be up here for quite some time on the stochastic RSI. Okay, so it doesn't matter too much that we are up in the overbought area, but when we take a look at the weekly, we can see that we're oversold, right? So there's huge potential growth in ADA over the next few weeks. So definitely want to be paying attention to this. Oversold on our weekly, overbought on our daily, and oversold on our hourly. So our hourly looks pretty good from this kind of perspective. When we jump over to the advice.io dashboard, for those who are unfamiliar, there's a link in the description down below. Basically, this uses artificial intelligence, machine learning to help us understand the underlying value of a cryptocurrency. Ultimately, the AI is taking a look at all the underlying data that's not usually easily seen from the charts. Now, advice.io is completely free to use. Links in the description below. Do sign up. I don't think you're going to regret it. But for Cardano here, we're an A2 rating. We've got a fear and greed index for Cardano. That's an A1, basically indicating extreme greed. They obviously do watch out. This is where profits are taken. We've seen the ABC correction on that hourly, right? Basically, profits are being taken, which is exactly what you'd expect to happen under these extremely greedy scenarios. The Sharpe ratio is an A2, indicating that actually the rewards outweigh the risks. So it's always good to kind of get a good scope and idea as to what the AI is thinking. The AAVE ratio is perfectly fine with good liquidity. We've got moving averages looking pretty good, and the profitability is right up there as an A1. So Cardano right now is actually looking like a pretty promising project, and obviously something that we talk about quite a bit. You know, it seemed to be trading around that 618 through to the 786 on the charts for a very long time. And that was actually a fantastic opportunity to just continue to accumulate. But obviously, you know, I think Cardano, it's got some good progress to the upside to be had here. Do expect us to go higher than we did previously with a good push to the upside. I'd like it to be an impulsive move, but I think actually we're inside that impulsive move right now. So if I actually bring this down on our hourly, I would say that actually this is your wave 1, this will be your wave 2. We're looking now to push up in for wave 3 before pulling down for wave 4 and going up into wave 5. Okay, so some interesting things do lie ahead here, but it all depends on what time frames you're looking at. In this example, we're only looking at the hourly because it gives us a bit of an overview as to what is going on the slightly smaller time frames, when we prefer to look at the weekly or the daily. Okay, but ultimately that's the first altcoin. I think it's got a pretty good traction. I think it's going to continue this growth to the upside and basically take the stochastic back to the upside. Now, the second altcoin that we want to talk about is, if I can just find it on my list here it is, Anchor. Okay, so Anchor is again something that has been performing well. If I actually just zoom on out here, we had this good surge to the upside from our buy area, and we pushed up into this area here. We pulled back, we traded sideways across our support level of 12.3 cent. Okay, we're hovering around a little bit, but basically we're up here for quite some time, pretty much since early November, so about a week or so we've been trading across this line. Now obviously when we take a look at this, We can see that down here we're oversold, we're just pushing our way up. And when we jump over to the AAVE dashboard again, we can do is we can take a look at Anchor, and we can see that Anchor's actually performing pretty well. We can see that overall its fear and greed index is A2. Okay, so there's extreme greed right now for Anchor. Now, the interesting thing here is that the Sharpe ratio is a C2 rating. We've just dipped down below the 50-day average. So right now, we're actually indicating that the risks do outweigh the rewards. With this being said, though, I think this might be a bit of a lagging indicator in the case of Anchor, because it does look primed and good to go. So when we jump back into the charts here, we are looking at potentially pushing this up a little bit higher. Now, I do think there's a little bit more downside to still come here when it comes to Anchor. We can obviously track this downward trend, but from our current position, I think there's going to be a small opportunity to be had here to basically scrape about 5% in profit, before potentially pulling back down towards our 12.3 cent one last time. I think ultimately what we're trying to do here is actually replicate a bit of a move. So let me just grab hold of this, and we can see that ABC here, for example, followed by an A, a B, and a C here, and again we have another ABC to the downside here, and another one here, and we have another one coming in here, A, B, and C. So what we're looking for is another A, a B, and a C back to the upside here. Okay, and ultimately what we're really trying to track is whether or not we are going to end up with a bit of a break to the upside. Now, this could be the break from the upside following this pattern. If I remove that last ABC, we can see we have A through E, triangular wedge here. So basically we have that flat bottom and basically looking to grow to the upside. So we could actually be on the cusp of a bit of a breakout for an impulsive move. But again, I'll be watching this one. This is something that we actually saw previously down here, for example. Right, we had tracking this in particular A through E correction, then we exploded back to the upside. We pulled back, obviously, and then we continued that growth. So if we do end up with this pattern, I think it's going to be quite an interesting time. So although our Sharpe ratio is not looking too good, this is one I think we want to be cautious with, but also pay attention to based on what's been forming here inside the charts. So if we actually do end up with this impulsive move breaking to the upside like we had seen previously, then I think this is going to flip around tomorrow, where we actually have the rewards outweighing the risks. So today I think is a key day to kind of watch what happens here with Anchor. So that's why it made my list today. The last altcoin that I want to talk about, guys, is XLM. Again, XLM is poised and ready to go, in my opinion. We can see that we are oversold. It had a good run yesterday. Again, if I just zoom out, you can see the level of impulsiveness that we had to the upside here. And again, what we could be looking at is basically this pullback. Now, this ABC that we currently see from here to here to here and here is actually quite shallow. Okay, and we could be on the cusp of a retracement at some point soon. If I actually take hold of this move and I pull that over, we can see that we've basically pulled down to the 382. Again, this area of support that we've seen previously as we moved the price of XLM to the upside. With that being said, though, there's the potential to pull back to 37.5, which would be the 618 area of the retracement zone. And that would actually be forming a much bigger ABC correction. With that being said, this could actually be forming our A wave. We then have a B, and then we pull back down for a C, for example. And again, there's no guarantee that we even pull down to a 618.72786 when the 50% retracement is also looking like a pretty good strong support. So there could be a bigger ABC correction wave happening here for XLM. But what point to this is that we are looking to push up first, okay? So again, there's no guarantee that we found the top of this impulsive move. But what we could say is that we are looking to gain some profits before we have a potential pull to the downside. Now, what's really interesting about XLM is we are oversold on our hourly chart, right down here on the oversold stochastic RSI. On the daily, we are just approaching the overbought area, indicating we have more room to grow just yet because the slow line has not even entered into this area of overbought just yet. The weekly stochastic RSI is up there and again up in the overbought area, something that we can track and be up there for quite some time anyway. Good progress is being made on our last leg here, and there's still a lot of work to happen here for XLM. Historically speaking, in the last bull run, XLM was one of the last coins to go, and so again, we should be cautious with how many gains we actually have on the shorter time frames. With that being said, I do expect a bit of a push to the upside today for XLM before potentially having a correction. When we jump over to the AAVE dashboard for XLM and we actually load this one up, we can see that we have moved up an overall rating. So we've gone from an A3 to an A2 rating overall here for Stellar's XLM. This is indicating that the Sharpe ratio is an A2, indicating the rewards outweigh the risks. So it's always good to have some exposure to XLM at this point in time. The Fear and Greed Index is up there as an A2 rating. So again, incredibly greedy, but do expect profits to be taken. We come down, we have no problem with liquidity with an A2 rating, and moving averages are right up there as an A2 as well. The profitability is an A1, so no problems with the underlying data, indicating that we could potentially see a bit of a reversal from our current downward trend here and push back to the upside. But I do expect, or should be cautious to say, that we could be part of a much bigger ABC correction. But with that being said, we could first of all push up before pulling back down. So overall, I think XLM is in a pretty good position today to see some gains to be had ahead of any potential pullback. If, of course, we do go higher than we did yesterday, so anything higher than 42.4, will see us in a potential position to continue the growth to the upside, invalidating a ABC correction down to any lower levels. Okay, so overall, we've got some interesting things going on with XLM. Do expect some green candles to appear here, specifically on the hourly chart, and we'll review whether or not we actually invalidate an ABC or whether we continue the growth to the upside overall. So overall, guys, I think there's some interesting projects to be reviewing today. Obviously, Cardano looks like a pretty good position to continue its growth to the upside overall. We do have, of course, Anchor, which looks like it's potentially on the cusp of a big break to the upside. And XLM is definitely a project that I think has some serious potential, but do be a little bit cautious with a potential ABC pulling it down a little bit lower. Historically speaking, XLM is always one of the last ones to go in the bull run, so do expect this one to go absolutely parabolic in the new year. Guys, I'm going to leave that video there. If you have found it useful and informative, then hit that like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, why not go ahead and subscribe? Tap that bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. With this said, done, and out of the way, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.